Alright everyone, how you doing? Today we're going to be playing some of the Hunter Classic. I'm going to try to make a sort of a beginner's guide. Kind of help a lot of people get through, see what, um, help with missions and get some money. You can see my money up here, the EM dollars, GM dollar, that amount. I recently reset my missions, so all of my missions are going to be pretty much what you would see as a new player. Step 1, make sure you select the automatically activate new available missions. This will really help with, because a lot of times you may not be actively trying to do a mission and you accidentally do something that would result in you completing said mission. So, doing this really helps with being able to get that money even when you're not aiming for it. Down here you'll see all your active missions. Then down here all the different mission packs, like if you want to do bison. But you have to complete these 3 missions, the track, spot, and harvest a whitetail deer, in order to unlock the rest of the missions, basically. Like these ones. Well, I guess the bighorn you don't need to. But like black bear, for example, you need to. And if you wanted to do cottontail, you need to. So, let's go over here to the store, do a quick little buyer's guide. You'll see a lot of this stuff on here. Not too bad. Actually, the pricing on some of these aren't too bad. So what should you be buying as a beginner? Well, step 1, let's look at what you got. In the weapons tab, the guns you'll mostly have, well, you only get 2 free ones. It's going to be the 243 bolt action rifle. This is a single shot, pretty standard rifle. Has a moderately good species list, goes down to the fox type species, gets your deer, bighorn sheep, ibex, your puma, kangaroo, kind of that whitetail size game. Plus down to the fox. I believe bobcat. Yeah, it can take bobcat, it can take lynx, and it can take up to what I'm going to say is whitetail size game. Pretty much stuff up to 100 kilograms ish. Make sure you read your ethical species list to see what is, for lack of a better term, legal. If you shoot an animal with a weapon that is not permitted, like if I shot a polar bear with a 243, it would probably kill it, but it's not allowed, so you won't get anything for it. The only scope you'll have is this one, the 4x32 rifle scope. It's a straight 4 power. It works fine. It's a scope. Ignore why I have so many of them. This was back in the days of membership, and I believe you got another scope and rifle for every single time you did that. You can see what guns it'll fit on. That's a fairly good list of what guns you can use this scope on. And let's look at the other gun you'll have, which is 12 gauge single shot shotgun. It's free. It has 3 different ammunition types. Should be noted that 243 and 12 gauge ammunition is free. You get 3 boxes at the start of every session, and it doesn't matter. You can shoot all 3 boxes of ammo, and you'll have 3 more the next time you start a new game, or start a new session rather. Ignore why I bought 20 of them. They're free. You can see what your bird shot's good for. That's for your birds, as well as like rabbits and geese, turkey, duck, your upland game. That's really it. Your buckshot, which is like 8 to 10 bigger pellets, that's good for the same as the 243. Your fox, your deer's whitetail size game, coyotes, that kind of stuff. Slugs, which is for big game hunting. So your ibex, your axis deer, bighorns, but as well as things like the black bear, the brown bear, I believe moose. It'll take everything up to the moose. It will not be able to take the bison, the banteng, or the water buffalo, the three really big animals in this game. So those are the only three species you will not be able to hunt. Ignore these two down here, that's for event missions only. But you will not be able to take the three wild cattle species. So what should your first new weapon be? Well, you can look in rifles and you can see that something like the 9.3 can take up to water buffalo. It actually has the best species list in the entire game. It goes down to coyotes, not fox or lynx, but it does go down to the coyote and the puma, the ones that the 243 can take, minus the fox and lynx, all the way up to the bison and even the water buffalo, which is the biggest animal in the game. This is actually the smallest weapon you can use to take a water buffalo. So this has a really good species list. Let's actually look at one that isn't the premium version. Let's look at the normal version. Right now it's on sale, $420 EM dollars, except it does not use the scope that is free. Let's look at a weapon that does. Just down here. Enter the 340 Weatherby Magnum bolt action rifle. I'm pretty sure it is the most powerful rifle in the game. And as you can see, it uses the free scope as well as the highest power scope available in the 2 to 10 scope. But notice you cannot take deer, the whitetail size game, with it like you could with the 9.3. But you are able to take your banteng, bison, the bears, hog, elk, red deer, or sandbar, or rusa. No, you cannot take a rusa with it. I forgot about that. But your sandbar, your elk, the water buffalo, boars, hogs, moose, kind of the big game, for lack of a better term. $650 EM dollars. It's not terribly priced. 3-shot bolt action, extremely powerful. It's very good for the big stuff. But how about something that has a little bit better range? This is something that you should probably have a rangefinder for, but you can look at the archery equipment. All bows, with the exception of, I believe, the longbow and the cableback bow, are able to take every single animal in the game with one ammunition type. And ignore the pistol crossbow bolts. That's for the little crossbow pistol that can only be used for small game. If we look at cableback arrows, you can see banteng, bison, and the water buffalo are not permitted. Same deal with the longbow. These are uber traditional items. But if we look at your compound, you can take everything. I believe the recurve can take everything. Understand that it goes on ammo type. Yeah, you can't take these two. Again, that's an event animal, and you need event ammunition. So, those, you got tracers, the Cupid arrows, which are actually pretty good value for a tracing arrow. They actually have the same price per shot as the normal ones. You get 15 in a pack versus 10. When you buy standard and tracer, compound, recurve, crossbow, your longbow, cableback, and the pistol bolts, those come in packs of 10. The Cupid arrow comes in a pack of 15. See, it's the same price as the tracer, but you get 5 more. Now let's look at what bows these go into. The Parker Python bow, the snakebite, and the 2 normal recurve. They do not fit in the Pulsar, which is probably the better compound, and they do not fit in the heavy recurve. So let's look at a bow. Let's see what you can get. Take a look at one of the Parker Pythons. They're all on sale right now for $490 EM dollars. You can get some of the special edition ones, or you can get the standard one, which is down here. And it is based on the actual Parker Python bow. If anyone knows about Parker bows, Yeah, they don't exist anymore, but they did when this game came out. You can see they can take everything except the event animals. And this one, though it is the most expensive of the normal compounds, it does get to use the range-finding bow sight. This helps a lot when you don't have range-finding binoculars, although I do highly suggest that that is something you pick up. Let's talk about the other ones in the archery department. You have the crossbows, the reverse draws at least. On the other page, we have the 10-point. Then we have the snakebite compound. If you're on a budget, go ahead, buy a snakebite. This bow's pretty good. It's actually very powerful. It's only got one pin for 20 meters. And it actually, for some reason, seems like it's the quietest one, even though it really shouldn't be. But it's fairly cheap. It's easy to figure out. Now, with bows, you cannot shoot them when prone. You have to be in a standing or a crouch position. If you buy a crossbow, like the 10-point or the reverse draw, you can shoot them while laying down, which has a very good benefit. This one also gets to use a 3-power scope. If you prefer scopes, the crossbow might be the way to go. However, on the 10-point at least, it only goes 10, 20, 30, and 40 meters. If you go with a reverse draw crossbow, you can see the price is actually on sale right now. It's a little bit more. This one only uses a 2-power scope. You can see the normal sight pins, 20, 40, 60. But here you get 20, 40, 60, and 80 meters. And with the 10-point, it does not really say what the pins are. I would have to go check it. I believe it's just a 20-meter pin. It might be a 40-meter pin. Either way, a crossbow is another really good option, but you will be limited in range. However, they are quieter, meaning you will not risk spooking animals. So for my pick, which gun should you be getting? Well, there are two ways to be looking at it. You can either go with the 340 Magnum. So let me pull up again so you can see it. You can go with the 340 Weatherby Magnum and have this as your big game rifle, and you'll be able to take all the animals in the game. Use the same scope as your 243. If you want to spend a little more, get the 2 to 10 scope, which will work on both. That's a very good option. It's a really good scope. Or you can look at getting one of the crossbows. If you want more range, get a reverse draw with the 2-power scope, which with a price of $519 and $250, you'd be about $770 EM dollars down the hole. If you want the 10-point, right now it is standard price of 500 EMs, $350 EM dollars on sale right now, plus another $250. It'd be a little bit cheaper, but you're going to be limited in your range. However, this will allow you to take everything. So enough gun talk. Let's talk about some of the other equipment you may need. You'll start with the 8-power binoculars, this old digital camera that hardly anyone ever uses. And that's really it in terms of equipment. You also get the free bleat call, which calls in your whitetail, mule deer, blacktail, and Sitka blacktails, just so you can have something to help with hunting game. So, should you upgrade to something like this rangefinder or the range-finding binoculars? Yes, these are very good if you're bow hunting. If you're rifle hunting, it's not that important. Most guns shoot a pretty straight line out to 200 meters, and needing to know the range isn't that bad once you start to figure it out. But if you're bow hunting, these are very useful. If you're taking shots past that 200-meter range, it's also very useful. And most people will eventually go ahead and buy the range-finding binoculars, but it's not that important. If you want some kind of a range-finding device, you can go ahead and get this one for cheap, or you can save up for this one. It's not really necessary. As for the spotting scopes, it's better to buy the 30 power if you're going to buy one, just because the only reason I have this one is because it came out first, and this was the best we had. Then we got this one, But these help you get the spotting information of game at longer distances, which is very helpful for increasing spotting level and again, figuring out the score of an animal at long range if you have unlocked that after you've spotted enough and leveled up, and for doing missions. So which one would I recommend you go for? Again, I would just stay with the normal 8 power binoculars. If you're not bow hunting and you're just going to be gun hunting with the 243, or if you've upgraded to something like the 340 Magnum, I would just stay with these. If you want to bow hunt or crossbow hunt with the 10 point, snake bite, whatever, if you want to stay on a budget, go ahead and get the 5x30 rangefinder and it will serve you well. If you want to go to the 7 powers, eventually you're probably going to own these eventually. They are the best one in the game and pretty much everybody carries these. In terms of these classic ones, if you want the drip factor, go ahead. So some other things we need to talk about are the calls, things to help you bag game. When you start the game, you have one, and it is this bleak can. Notice how I have 17 because of, well, me doing memberships. That's how this game used to work. This is your basic call. It works just fine. You can see what it attracts. There's really no reason to have to buy the grunt collar other than you have more money than you know what to do with. For now, this will work fine. There is no next best thing to go for. It's just based on what you want to hunt. You can upgrade eventually. And you don't always need calls. A lot of times I don't use calls. So don't really bother with buying any other calls right now as a new player. It'll be fine. As for the scent lures, the bait, decoys, electronic collar, same thing. You really don't need to worry about these for now. With decoys, if you're going to be doing waterfowl hunting, you're going to end up owning a lot of these. Predator hunting ones, these ones are fairly useful for the fox and coyote hunting, but they're really not needed. The same thing goes for the turkey and the wood grouse decoys. They're useful, but they're not needed. Things like goose and duck decoys definitely are needed when you're waterfowl hunting, although I would stay away from these spinning wing decoys unless they go on sale individually instead of the other ones, because the attraction strength of these is actually the same as 6 regular decoys, and you can see that $100 for each regular decoy, multiply that by 6 is 600. $649 is more, so you're overspending to only have this one unit. Some people like them though. Clothing. There are a lot of different clothing options, and it can honestly seem like Team Fortress 2 with the amount of cosmetics there are. And most of them are useless. Think I'm kidding? Well, I'm not. You have these various color Arctic jackets, which you get one for free for hunting on the White Rime Bridge Reserve. But then you have these other ones that have no benefit, but they cost money. That's simply for the drip if you want it. Or like this casual shirt here. See, it has no benefit. It's honestly bad for the different weathers, but it looks cool. You can see here's some others. And this one here, I own it for the drip. But here is some other jackets like this green. You would think, green, that looks cool. That would probably kind of help. Like the orange, safety for gun hunting. No. Stuff like this, the sneaky 3D camouflage, you can see this has a good visual reduction amount for all species in the forest areas of this area. But if you really do want to go for clothing, as a beginner, you don't need to, but if you want to, go into bundles and search for the Outback outfit. Here we go. Outback outfit bundle. This gives you the shirt, pants, hat, and basic boots of the Outback clothing, which has a very good warm weather resistance so you don't have heat exhaustion on places like Bushrangers and Picayune Bay. And you can see it gives you some amount of reduction in visual, scent, and sound versus all species on all areas of every map. Doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter what animal it is, this works. So this is a very good one if you want some basic camouflage to kind of help you get away with some things. But again, it really isn't all that needed, but it is a thing that can sometimes help. If you primarily want to focus on deer hunting, you can look at something like the Boone and Crockett camouflage. And the reason why I say this is because it gives you it gives you a little bit better visual and scent reduction than the Outback, with still some amount of sound reduction versus deer species, your red deer, elk, moose, whitetails, roe deer, that kind of stuff. Moose. You can see elk, deer, and moose hunts. It will not work on bears or hogs or birds, which doesn't really make sense. It's still camouflage. But that's the way it works in this game. These are good if you're mostly going to deer hunt. Again, I will show that camouflage does not really matter all that much, but sometimes it can really help. So enough on clothing, let's look at some other stuff, such as the consumables. Camping supplies. These are very good. If you buy the 15 pack, it's actually the best bang for your buck. Don't ask me why, but that's how it works. Other things you may want to look at, the wind indicator, probably the most useless of all of them. If you look at the leaves, you can figure out which way the wind's going. And that's really only important if you plan on getting very close to animals when you're bow hunting, for example. Scent Eliminator is also a very good one, and it helps mitigate the effects of the wind. Again, the 50 use big one is the better one. If you're really itching to get some, you can pay the 60 EMs for the small 10 use bottle. But that's up to you. The first aid kit, if you're hunting on somewhere like Val de Bois, or you're hunting things like water buffalo, this can be a very good thing to have in case you fall down a hill and you get knocked out or get hurt by another animal. This can keep you in the hunt, but really doesn't get used that much. Climbing gear. This is only used on Val de Bois to get to certain areas. It really isn't that necessary. The face paint is another thing that can help you sometimes, but not really. If your goal is to get really, really close to things like turkeys, this can be a good thing to use if you're hunting on the ground without a blind or a stand. But other than that, it really isn't that useful. The water bottle. You get 3 of these at the start of every hunt. You only need them when you're on Peekabeen Bay or Bushrangers Run, which are the hot maps. And even then, I don't find myself ever using them that much. In the deployable section, we can see we have these marker flags. You have the shooting tripod rest, which these can be useful sometimes, but I hardly use them. And we have the deployable hunting towers. These are very, very good once you know where you like to hunt. If you want to put in a good deer stand, this is a good thing to invest in. It takes a good while to put it up, but it gives you very good visual reduction, and it lets you get very steady shots. And I mean rock steady. Same as the in-game pre-built hunting towers that are permanent. They allow you to get a very, very steady shot. And if you're doing something like a bait barrel setup, these are excellent. In the large equipment tab, we can see waterfowl blinds and ground blinds and these tree stand tripod stands and stuff. The ground blinds are probably the worst of them. They're very hard to see out of at times. The tripods, they're pretty good. They allow you to set them up anywhere. You get to steady your weapon very good, and they keep you pretty well hidden. So these are a very good one to have, and it does give you scent reduction because you're up off the ground. The same goes for the tree stands, which can be any type. It doesn't matter which color it is, these all work just fine. However, you cannot get a very steady shot off of these compared to something like the tripod or the permanent tower, but it is a bit better. But you have to be near a tree to be able to use these. Sometimes it puts you up much higher, but I believe it does give a little bit better in the visual and scent reduction. So these are also a very good idea for things like bow hunting and for things like bait barrel setups. The tents, these can be very, very useful. These allow you to set up mobile spawn points anywhere on the map that you can fast travel to later, start your hunt from, and go to if you get knocked out and injured. Keep in mind, if you're on White Rime Ridge, you need to have the heated one to be able to go to it after you have been knocked out. Other than that, the rest of these are all cosmetic. Eventually, you're probably going to own a few of these. Bait sites. This is getting into some advanced stuff. This one here for black bear and brown bear, for the wild boar and hog, and for the feral goat. You can use these to create an area that game will frequent often, allowing you to have better success hunting them. These are very useful if you know what you're doing and you know how to use them. But for a beginner, do not worry about these. Trophy lodges. If you really want one to show off some of your best animals, by all means, get one. You can indeed have game mounted for a later time for the price of 10 EM dollars or 2,000 GM dollars, and then you can save them until you have enough to buy the trophy lodge itself. You can see they're expensive, but they're a really cool thing to do. If you don't want one or can't afford it, you can still take a very good trophy picture so that way you can save if you shot a really nice animal. The styles and gun racks, these are just personalization. They have absolutely no other reason other than that. In the vehicles tab, these are good sometimes, but other than that, if you're doing setups, you're doing travel missions, these can be useful. Other than that, they're not really all that great. And see, I have one, the Jurassic Park one. This was a one-time thing you could do back when memberships were a thing. So it's pretty hard to get these nowadays. And again, they are useful, but very rarely are they really that useful. A good starting map is probably Loggers Point. There's a lot of rabbits to hunt, coyotes, whitetail, and mule deer. This was the original new player map. This is where you went. Nowadays, you can really do any of them. You can do White Heart or Red Feather, which is up here, or Settlers Creeks. Even Rougarou still has whitetail to hunt. But for now, we'll actually go to the original map, which was White Heart Island. We'll start down here. White Heart's breaking up into these two islands. Down here is really good whitetail hunting, as well as sometimes coyotes and even Roosevelt elk. Up in here is turkey hunting, coyote, blacktail, and Roosevelt elk. Start down here for whitetail. We'll start our hunt around 7 o'clock. The time hardly matters. It just matters how light it'll be. Certain times of the day, deer will bed down, and they can be harder to find then. So we'll start at 7 o'clock, start the South Lodge, and we will go. Alright, we have loaded in at the South Lodge on White Heart Island. If you have a trophy lodge, you can enter them by going up to the door and pressing E, and you can select which lodge to go into. Right now, we will not cover that. In a later video, I might show off some of my trophy rooms. But you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you have press I for inventory. When you go to the lodge inventory, you can see everything you own, of which I own a lot. Equipment tab, you can see this, and you have various categories here. And here's your clothing and all the slots they go into. A quick bug is you must have something equipped here. And by that I mean, if I take these out, you can see I can't select this one. It's a weird glitch. I don't know why it happens, but it's been happening for years, and they've never been able to fix it. Don't ask me why. Up here, if you want to completely clear everything, you can do that. You can see I now have nothing. When I resume, I should have the starting clothing, which will be these. These provide absolutely no camouflage whatsoever, and that's exactly what I'm going to use today to show the camouflage is not that necessary. Now, as a new player, these 3 slots will not be available. It does not mean that you can't eventually unlock them, or it just means that these hotkey tabs will not be used. Meaning, if you put 6 items in here, you can use 7, 8, 9, as you see, to be able to pull them out while you're actually playing the game. For stuff that isn't equipped, you put it down here, and that's where it goes. So you can equip it eventually. I personally would not buy these. You can buy them for a certain price. I would stay away from doing that. You unlock these as you play the game. The large equipment, if you own a tent or some type of tree stand, tripod, ground blind, it will go here. If you own a vehicle, it goes here. When you equip a vehicle, you'll see you have vehicle inventory. If you own one of the deployable tower stands, it will go in here, and this is where you will see all your things like calls, your bait, optics, that kind of stuff. It should also be noted that bait barrels will be in the large equipment tab. You have a capacity of 10 as a new player. That is why I say it is best to go ahead and buy the upgraded inventory. As for weapons, once again, the 243, this is your starting weapon, and you only have the 4-power scope. Typically speaking, if you fire 10 shots with a rifle in one hunt, it's probably going to take a long time for you to use those 10 rounds, so I usually only bring 1 pack of ammo. In the other tab, we'll use the crossbow. I'm using the tracer arrows, help you see them better, as well as help me see them better. These are definitely the arrows I would go for with a bow, but they are not needed. And I'm not going to use the scope either. For our equipment, we'll equip the binoculars, as well as the starting deer call, if I can find it. There it is. This one works just fine. And these are really the 2 things for deer hunting you need. And I'll equip the 5-power rangefinder actually in place of my binoculars. Just so I have just these 2 here. And we have basic clothing, we have those 2, and we have this. And that's really all we're going to need. Now, I do not have auto reload on, so I must hit R to load my rifle. If you have auto reload is typically turned on by default, I believe, so you really won't have to worry about having to do that. Same with the crossbow. Press X to free look. Look at those animations, very nice. Basic controls, WASD moves, shift moves you up a stance, control goes down to crouch, and then prone if you hit it again, hit shift to stand back up. C is sprint. Or jog, rather. With the rangefinder, you can see you point it and you get the readout for the distance. That's 20 and that's more or less 40. It's a good idea to practice with a weapon first. Of course, like the normal trope, you can see how much my weapon is swaying when I'm standing. Get to be a little less when I'm crouched, and it's very steady when I'm prone. See our top pin, that's 20 meters. Now with the crossbow, you have to be in a crouch to be able to reload, or it'll auto move you up to a crouch if you're prone. And we'll see where the other pin hits. Okay, that one actually hits pretty well on at 36. So 20 and 35 meters are pretty much your ranges with the 10 point, which is pretty good. At 243, it's a fixed 4 power, but as you can see, helps you make a little bit longer shot. And that's very good shot placement for most game animals, pretty much right in line with the leg. As you can see, it's a single shot rifle. Scoring rings are pretty small on these targets. Don't feel bad if you can't really hit the center. Move up to standing. We can just make out there's a deer target way out there. We're going to try to hit him standing. Perfect shot. So now that we practiced up, we can go ahead and move out. Take a look at the map real quick. You can see if you have a fast travel point, looks like that. If you have a deployable tower, it'll look like that. This is a campsite. You can travel there if you have camping supplies. These are other points of interest. Really mean nothing. Sometimes you have to go there for travel missions. And of course this is your normal tower, and it'll even tell you which number it is. On White Hart Island, I usually like to run this route for deer hunting. So we'll go ahead, move out here first. Tab goes to your hunter mate, and you can kind of see certain points. You see what in-game time it is, and it also gives you how far you've walked. So now I've covered some basics. I'll come back to you whenever we have found something worth noting. Something I'd like to mention. When you're walking around, you're just leaving the lodge, it's okay to run a little bit. Just not a good thing to be doing when you're actively trying to find animals. That's good to help you get started. Okay, we just got our first call. You can see it's a whitetail and a male. You will not be able to tell the gender or sex of the animal whenever you first start and you have no tracking skill. As you level up, you'll be able to identify that. We right click out of there, we get an approximation of where it is. It is not precise, but it gives you a good estimate. So, I'm going to pull out our deer call. We're going to give it a couple calls. Animals will typically make a beeline straight for you whenever you call. So, if you're bow hunting and you want to get good broadside shots, use this to your advantage. And you'll see me do this with the hunting tower. When it comes to shot angles, head on and facing straight away from you are the absolute worst. Honestly, straight away is the absolute worst. Facing towards you is tricky. Broadside is the best. And up here you can see there is an animal track. The semi-arch looking thing signifies a track that you are not actively pursuing. Once you walk up to it, you can see these are droppings. And left click to ID it, it'll tell you new trail found. Hit it again, and you will see what species it is. Get a high enough level, you can get how long ago it was made and the estimate weight of the animal. I know that that weight class is a doe, female whitetail, so I'm not going to bother pursuing it. When you have an active track, if I move far enough away, it turns into this half circle or half sphere type of a deal. The color of those can be adjusted in the options. I prefer this color, I think it stands out the best. Default, it will be red. Coming up to the hunting tower, come up to the ladder, press E, you'll get in it. And now you can see, whenever I pull up my rifle, I am very steady, and actually right there's the deer, come to think of it. That's a fairly far shot with the 4-power scope. You can see on our rangefinder, it's 175 meters. That's a fairly far shot. You can see even at that far, with the steadiness of the hunting tower, you can get pretty steady on them. We have a fairly according towards, actually he just called again. As a newcomer, make sure you ID every call you have. If you pick up a call from an animal you were previously tracking, it'll tell you rediscovered previous trail. And the 3 lights up there, if I found actual like tracks or droppings, I would get a new one each time. Eventually I'll show you what that means. The tutorials will explain this, and it's a very good idea to go ahead and play the tutorials first. Now it is pretty much impossible to overcall animals, but he's still coming in, so I'm not going to bother with it right now. I want to try to get him a little closer so we can get the spotting information on him and get that part of the mission done. Very good that you get spotting information. We're just going to sit here, watch him, see what he does. Now when a deer's coming in, every now and then it stops. Don't worry. You can see this one's starting to turn a little bit. Just make sure he's still coming in at a fairly good angle. As you can see, we just got the spotting information off this deer. As you will level up, you will be able to spot animals from a farther distance away, and you'll be able to get the information sooner. Also, level 3 unlocks weight, level 5 unlocks score. This goes up for each different species. See, he's under 100 meters, given a very good angle. There's actually another deer coming in. See, we got the mission complete. We're actually going to go ahead. Okay, see, he turned, now he's coming our way again. I'm actually going to see if I can call him in close enough for a shot with the crossbow. That shows the benefit of hunting with a bow and arrow. If I took a shot with a rifle right now, this other deer off that way would get spooked and I would have to go track it down. And see, it's 66 meters. If we had the reverse draw with its scope that has markings for 20, 40, 16, 80, we would indeed be able to take that shot. Now, that's a fairly bad angle for bow hunting, facing us fairly straight on. To kind of go over shot placement real quick, you want to hit the lungs, preferably both of them, and even the heart if you can. Hitting liver, stomach, intestines, that happens, but usually on deer mostly, any gun that's good for deer, if you hit both lungs, typically speaking, you're going to drop them right in his tracks, and that's true of almost all animals in game. There are some missions that require you get a 100% harvest value. That means you took one shot and you killed the animal instantly. Things like headshots, although if you hit the brain, it's going to be instantly effective, it's a very hard shot to make. See, his head moves around a bit, and the brain's pretty small. Hitting the neck will also result in an instantaneous kill, but that's a very, very hard shot to hit. The spine will usually lead to an animal being paralyzed and it will lay down, but it is still alive. Can't get up, but it's still alive and you'll have to shoot it again or wait for it to bleed out. Sometimes animals do this after they've been wounded for too long. See, he's starting to come into bow range now. Once I can start to hear the footsteps, I know he's definitely within bow range. We'll wait for a good shot, try to zip one through the spine into the lungs. Don't want to let him get too close though. We're just going to have to take it. And we can see we dropped him right in his tracks. Probably hit heart, possibly his spine and a lung. I should take a look at the blood down there. Actually, probably not. You can see there's some effects from the shot itself. Those will go away after a while. So we'll just wait and see till those goes away. But he looks like he's actually smaller than average buck. Okay, there we go. You can see that's the actual blood itself. That to me looks like it probably would have hit probably just the neck bone, maybe. You'll learn the different blood types after you've shot enough animals and seen enough of it. You'll know which one's which. Gonna go ahead and call some more with our other deer we heard. Trying to make a shot with a rifle. Yes, you can prone when you're in the big towers. Actually, I can see him out there. There he is. That looks like a much nicer looking deer. See, he's out there about 100 meters. Go ahead, see about where I need to be here. We have this limb to go through, which realistically isn't a good shot to take. Gotta wait for him to get down in here. And I believe there are hitboxes, although we're gonna find out. Maybe we'll have a deer to track. Yep. We hit him. So now we get to show blood tracking. Actually, he went down right up there, so we definitely got into a lung. Yeah, just make him out right there. Okay. Make sure to reload your rifle if you don't have auto reload on. Pull out your hunter mate, left click on ID, and you'll get the deer, see what you hit. And you also, your CSS, that's how much money you'll get. Harvest value, as you can see, that's trophy integrity, right caliber for the target, and getting an instant kill. Wound time, it's how long from the first shot until the animal died. This is weapon type, distance, and target size. Choosing right caliber for the target increases chance of good result. Damage from multiple shot stack. Really, this is almost always 100%. I've rarely seen it go less than that when you've made one perfect shot with the right caliber that's legal, for lack of a better word. Taxidermize, if you want to mount it, you can do that. Trophy shot, click on that. And we get to see our person and the deer. If you're happy about it, hit space to go into edit and pick them up and maneuver them. Actually, there's our arrow. And do whatever. If you own different trophy shot poses, you can use them. With hitting P for the animal pose, T for you, but you have to have a weapon. Armor crossbow. We can see we can choose different ones, but usually we don't need them. Left click, move your guy around, right click to rotate him. And you can take a picture, which we're not going to do, for this deer at least. See, our crossbow is cocked, but when we aim it, that's when the bolt goes in the bow. So it takes a little bit of time. It's honestly negligible, but it does take some amount of time. Pretty much with crossbows, when the string's back, it's pretty much loaded and ready to go. And yeah, I can see our deer. He was laying down right up there. The way how old this game is, you can kind of see, you can barely make him out up there. But when you look through a scope or some magnified optic, or even just aiming down the iron sights, you get to see the grass loading in. After shooting with a rifle, you definitely don't need to worry about spooking an animal by running, so you can go ahead and run over to whatever it was you shot. And this is definitely lung blood. Familiarize yourself with that. Here you see the tracks. Quick way with deer tracks and with deer sounds, when you hear that short grunt, that's a male. When you hear the bleat, much like the call, that's a female. With the tracks, when they're in this shape, this is an animal that's just walking. When you see them where the toes are spread out in a V shape, that's one that is running. Come up here, you can see now the second auto of the trail is unlocked. If I ID this one, it'll probably give me 3. And you can see a solid black line. That simply means that at the speed the animal was traveling and how long since that animal was traveling, that's all the farther it could have went. Does not mean that that's how far away the animal is. When we look at the blood, see the source of lungs, heart. Doesn't always say that when you first have no tracking skill, but you can see it still shows that. If I come over here to this other one, we'll see that it's now a dotted circle. That means that that animal was moving at a rate fast enough and enough time has passed to where it will be outside of that circle. And the 2 lines obviously shows the general direction of travel. Again, you'll want to ID every single track you can as a new player. Really hope you get leveled up. Here's our deer. He's actually probably a lot better than what I thought. A very nice looking whitetail buck. Come in and see we hit the shoulder blade and the right lung. In reality, hitting the shoulder blade would have led to an instantaneous kill, but what can you do? You can see we got our harvest value. You need this 100 for a lot of missions, or some missions rather, and that's deducted from your wound time. So our score 163.8, that's actually a pretty good buck. 87 CSS score, so we get 88 GM dollars. And we're definitely gonna be taking a trophy shot of this, and you can see we unlocked a mission and didn't even realize it. First 3 missions are done, then you start getting to these ones. Gotta wait for him to start shaking. Grab our rifle. And there we go. Simple as that. If you want to check what missions you have, you can go into the pause menu, go to the missions tab, and you can see all the active missions you have to do. Notice, 74 instead of the 22 that I had. Check various ones, like that, like these ones. Come down here to the mission packs to see what species, if you want to go by species and look at whitetail, for example, which is what we're going to focus on. Which is, of course, all the way down at the bottom. See, now we're up to this one. Harvest 10 whitetail buck with at least 10 typical points. So, play around a little more. Gotta make our circle, try to get up into here. Maybe even find some tracks we can follow. Show you how tracking animals to make a shot works. Some other things I'd like to point out, the way time works in this game. See, it's 7:40. I started the hunt at 7. I've been playing for 20 minutes. How do I know that? Well, time moves twice as fast in this game as it does in real life. Here we have some more tracks. There's a whitetail doe. If you unlock the weight, just know that 40 to 60, 45, 65, 50, 70 is typically going to be a doe. Anything higher than that's probably going to be a buck. As a new player, you won't be able to notice that, so it's just trial and error. Shooting does or any animal without a score will not lead to you getting any money as a reward. Kinda sucks, but that's the way things work around here. Check this one. This one's definitely a buck. 70 to 95 kilograms. Max weight for a whitetail is 100 kilograms or 220 pounds, and I really wish I could use actual imperial measurements instead of meters and yards. That's just me. I'm an American, and I refuse to accept change. And see, before we have the 3, we only get this kind of general area where it went. We don't know how long it's been. I think one just called. Look at that. There's another buck. I'll actually go ahead and mark this. Pull out whatever optical system you have, bino, rangefinder, whatever. Left click. Look at your map. Now a red dot there. Place up to 3 at any given time. Place any more than that, and you'll start deleting ones you already had. And also clear them in the map menu. If you have your hunter mate, right click, you can see the map. If you want to set another one, like if I want to put one up here for where I want to go, or roughly where the animal was, kind of where it starts to turn light green there. Come into here, left click, and we got a general approximation of where that deer was. Now I know that that deer is just up ahead. I'm going to go ahead and move to a crouch. Typically speaking, when you know game is probably within 150 meters of you, it's best to move to a crouch. Now what I said about the wind indicator, in the forest we can look at the leaves. Which way are they going? Kind of follow my direction. Yes indeed. That means the wind is more likely in my favor. If the wind is blowing your scent towards the animal, it's a lot easier for him to smell you. If it's blowing away, it makes it way, way harder. Scent Eliminator really helps with there's no excuse to not play the wind. It's more important when you're bow hunting than rifle hunting. But if the wind's bad and you don't have anything to eliminate your scent, game can still spook from a distance of 100 meters. Typically, if you want to call, you want to get in an area where you can see good. Something I'm going to try to do, although I think I can just make out our deer up ahead. How about that? There he is. Doesn't quite look like a 10-pointer, but he's still a deer nonetheless. Still a good buck, so we'll still shoot him. That's about the average size rack, honestly, for this game. Get a lot of them around that 100 scoring area. Another quick tip, if you must make an offhand shot, if you can, hold down the walk forward key or walk backward key. Eliminates all left to right sway. Don't ask me why. Space holds your breath. Helps you get steady. Sometimes only for a very split second though. So you gotta be able to get on target and make a shot. Here he just called again. You know this is a different animal than the other track, so not really gonna bother with trying to get that close. We're not really gonna bother. I'm still after shooting this one. Go back to that track and we'll try to track us down a live one. And we spooked something. Not sure what it was, actually. That's another buck, I think. Actually, it might have been the same one. I might have lost track of where he was. Pay attention to which way he goes here, then we'll follow him. See, he's actually slowing down. After an animal is spooked, it takes a while for it to calm down. You can see he's out there pretty good ways, but he's going to stay in place for a good while, giving us enough time to move up and try to make another shot. Or try to get a shot, rather. Sometimes it's a bit dangerous when you're looking through optics all the time. You actually kind of forget how close the animal really is. This is an instance where the camouflage that reduces sound would probably be better. I doubt that deer saw us. Now here we have some other tracks. Check these. That's a bobcat. It's one of the harder animals to get in this game. Very, very sneaky. Take a look, see if our deer's up there. Yep, he is. Must understand the hitboxes of the brush and the trees. Sometimes the brush doesn't really have much of a hitbox. Bullets can typically go straight through it. Trees, on the other hand, make sure you got a good wide margin from the tree. If I was trying to take a shot right next, the bullet would actually probably hit the tree. Stay out like that, and you're in the clear. Same goes for being in a stand or a tower. Make sure you have clarity. Actually, there's two bucks out there. Probably both of them are ones I spooked. Let me see, this buck here is actually coming in. Probably gonna walk right out in the open for us. How about that? Get up on this rock. Got good clarity. Gotta make a shot. Nope, that's another one, the blood trail. I think he went down. Bows are definitely the meta when it comes to bag limits and trying to get as many deer as you can, or as many game animals as you can. But play your cards right rifle hunting. You can still whack and stack. Go ahead, run up to this one, find the track from that other one, and get to looking for him. Coming up to the blood, I can tell, not a great shot. Intestines. Usually meant you hit, well, intestines, stomach, or the liver. This darker blood, a little bit translucent. Usually indicative of that. Not as bad as a body shot though. Body shot with the 243 on a whitetail typically ain't gonna bring them down. I'm not gonna follow him immediately. I'm actually gonna give him a few minutes. I'm gonna wait till the clock in game says 8, and then I'll continue tracking. So I'll come back with you after we give them some time. Usually you want to give them time, much like in real life. If you push them and spook them again, they'll just keep on running. Give them some time, he'll lay down, eventually expire. Once an animal goes down into their kind of bedded down, wounded state, it's very rare that they ever get back up again. I don't think they can, actually. So, let's give this deer some time. Alright, probably gave that deer enough time, so we'll go tracking. With a low caliber rifle like a 243 on a whitetail, definitely want to give him more time, move slowly. Probably takes him a little while to expire. If I made that shot with something like the 300, probably be running up to go find it. Hitting an animal with a bow and arrow is pretty much always fatal. If you have body blood, just wait, give him time. Sometimes tracking can be a little bit of a tricky job, even though you get indicators like that. Usually don't like to run, but I'm pretty sure this deer is fatally hit, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Here you can see this is what the running tracks look like. See how that's more V-shaped? Typically on a downed animal, you get the same marker like that with the half circle, half sphere type deal. But you can see it from a further distance, which really helps. When you're finding blood later down the line of tracking, that's how you definitely know that it's more likely fatally hit. You just need to give them time. Eventually it will stop running, bed down, and it'll expire. There you got an example of what the female deer sounds like. That's the same for the mule deer, blacktail, and the Sitka blacktail. I believe it's just called Sitka, but Sitka blacktail's technically the right name. And down there's our deer. You can actually see that he stopped and he started walking again. Didn't make it far though. Looks like this one is a 10-pointer. So he's definitely going to count for the mission. You can see, straight shot right in the stomach. Not a great shot, but we still got the deer. There we go. So, there you go. Quick guide, show you how to get a few missions done, make some money. Quick little buyer's guide and some mechanics of the game. If you guys like it, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you want to see. Further video ideas I have for real life hunting stuff include making fletchings out of a turkey feather from the birds I got last spring. Put them on compounds. How to set up arrows and how to get your broadheads flying straight. Other than that, some other video ideas I might have here. Not too sure. Might have a little bit advanced beginner's guide after you get set up. Definitely not going to make my own new account for it. Just because this game can get pretty expensive pretty quick. However, it ain't all that bad once you know how to start making your own money. You can spend $50 worth of EM dollars to get 5,000 of them. And really help get yourself set up. You're gonna have to excuse a lot of the audio quality from this video. I do not have a very good microphone. Other than that, I think that wraps it up. See, been playing for about 35 minutes in this session, already got a few deer down. Not a very bad hunt at all. Anyways, once again, leave a like if you like it, dislike if you don't. If you really don't like it, go make your own video. Peace.